very difficult circumstances. Just a bit, I don't know, for those who maybe do not know Amnesty International, we cannot assume you know Amnesty. Amnesty is a human rights movement. I think that's the thing that people maybe forget sometimes. You know, we do all this research, investigations, but actually Amnesty is a movement of human rights activists, defenders. Currently we're counting about 10 million across the world. We have about 72 national entities, and national entities I mean like Amnesty Netherlands, you know, Amnesty Norway, Amnesty Zimbabwe, etc. The regional office that sits in Nairobi is part of the East and Southern Africa Regional Office. So we have an office in Nairobi and in Johannesburg. And then our office in Nairobi covers East Africa, Horn of Africa, and the Great Lakes. But this part of the world, we're a bit unfortunate. We do not have as many national entities as we do, for example, in Europe. Europe has about 28 national Amnesty chapters. You can count 28. But in East and Southern Africa, we have 3. Amnesty Zimbabwe, Amnesty Kenya, I'm sure some of you know Irungu Houghton. He's the executive director of Amnesty Kenya. And we have Zimbabwe and South Africa. So basically the work on Somalia is covered through the Nairobi team. It's a small team, the Somalia team. We have a researcher and a campaigner who send their greetings. Unfortunately, Abdullahi could not be here, and Suad could not be here, but they are the colleagues who are supporting all the work that we do in the region, including in Somalia. So when this opportunity came up, it was a no-brainer as to who we think and feel. Because at that time, we were also like in really constant conversations with Abdullahi because of the situation that he's going through. So it was really clear for us who would be the best suited for this award and this opportunity. And for us, some of these opportunities also are a way of protection, because Amnesty is also big on protection of human rights defenders. We are doing like currently in Tanzania, just if you know what's happening in the election. So we are really, really busy with Tanzania currently because of the protection mandate. How do we support civil society actors, human rights defenders, journalists, etc., cooperating in that environment? So that was really just to give you a background of who Amnesty is and how we arrived at this. And we have a long-standing partnership with SJS, and it was really the least we could do to really ensure that the work is profiled, it's amplified, it's acknowledged, it's recognized, it's known, and the people behind it are also protected. And the more allies we have, the more people we have surrounding SJS and others, journalists and similar organizations, then the more it becomes a personal thing. If anyone goes for them, basically it becomes all of our business. So I'm giving you a bit of our tactics as to how we also try and support our comrades in this case. So as someone said, my name is Flavia Mwangovya. I'm the Deputy Regional Director for East and Southern Africa. And currently in Somalia, just by way of context, we are observing an alarming escalation on the freedom of press in Somalia. So even by the time we're making this nomination, and now, I think the curve just keeps going up and up. The right to freedom of expression, freedom of the media continue to be restricted. Journalists continue to come under attack by security forces, and they continue to be subjected to threats, harassment, intimidation, beatings, arbitrary arrests, and prosecution. In the past 1 year alone, following multiple attacks by Al-Shabaab in Mogadishu and its neighboring towns and villages, the government has really stepped up on attempts to control and censor journalists, reporting on public interest issues, including insecurity and forced eviction. And we see this as an attempt to control the narrative and shape discussions on how it's handling the security situation in the country. That is our assessment as Amnesty. And we have examples to cite, and Abdullah, I think, has also alluded to them. Just in March, April, we have cases where we have arrests, including one journalist in relation to a TikTok video when she commented on the authorities' failure to clear rubbish from an area. She was released without charge. So we're seeing these arrests and release, But it has a chilling effect. It basically means then you think twice, you know? And that's the thing about repression. Sometimes no one will come for you for that thing, but it actually makes you think twice, thrice, 4 times, and then you just have a chilling effect across the board in terms of what you're able to do as a journalist, as an activist, as a human rights defender. So it is against this backdrop that we nominated SJS for the 2025 Human Rights Tulip Award. because we acknowledge their work as a leading independent journalist advocacy organization committed to defending human rights and press freedom in Somalia. They provide legal aid and representation to journalists and work intersectionally, and that's the part that I really also applaud. You do not just work with journalists in the mainstream, but it's very easy to become very elitist and just work with the journalists in Mogadishu, the men, the ones who are well known. But they do work with women journalists. They work with journalists from marginalized communities. They work with journalists who coming from different regions who are facing harassment, persecution due to their work. So I think, I don't know what to say before I arrive, but I think we all know who SJS is, so I do not need to really hammer more on that. But it's just to say we are really proud of the courageous and bold vision that you have and that you continue to build in terms of the work that you do. And we at Amnesty International applaud the work that you do and continue supporting you. And we look forward to seeing where the next couple of years go for you, Abdallah and team, especially as you continue to build your resilience. Because I don't think the threats will stop. I don't think the attacks will stop. And so it's really a question on how we can up the volume and increase the resilience of the syndicate and ensure that this is not just about one organization. And that's why I really like this campaign. It's really about ensuring that the community, the people, also hold it in their hands and are part of the struggle for human rights, press freedom, freedom of expression, association, and assembly, where it matters most. Thank you so much, and congratulations once again.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flavia, for your very important words, and also to Henkan Bakr again for starting off this ceremony. As stated many times, the focus of today is human rights and freedom of expression. Yet, how do we focus best on this? We focus on this by hearing from those that actively defend these rights on the ground. Therefore, I'm very happy that we will host a panel conversation today. A conversation where two human rights defenders will ask each other the important questions. I'm very happy to invite to the front Abdallah Mumin from Somali Journalist Syndicate, our first panelist and winner of tonight.
Thank you.
As you know, Abdallah is the Executive Director of Somali Journalist Syndicate and a journalist himself who has endured the pushback on his right to reporting. He is a testimony of resilience. Joining Abdallah today for the panel conversation is a leading governance and public sector specialist, Mwangovya. Mwangovya is the Executive Director of Acacia Dialogue Center. Acacia Dialogue draws inspiration from indigenous African wisdom to engage in meaningful and communal conversation under the shade of the acacia tree. And today, as we sit underneath the shade of trees, we're very happy to listen to our two panelists and engage in dialogue. We invite you to also take part in it, as following their conversation, there will be time to ask questions. Now, Nemo, start off.